Kyle Van Noy, another name to watch for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pro Football Focus named this guy the landing spot, or the Steelers the top landing spot for him. He's a former Patriot, which you know very well. Right. Spent a lot of time there. Spent last season with the LA Chargers. Started 13 games for them. He's had 5 sacks. I was looking up his stats the other day. He's 32 years old. He's only had 1 season with less than 5 sacks since 2017. So this guy still knows how to put up numbers. He still knows how to contribute off the bench, even if that's not like, you know, the most impressive stat line. It's a pretty good one for a 32-year-old. You look at this guy, you think, yes, no, maybe we're reaching a little bit. Maybe we're overlooking Nick Herbig. Or do you say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense?
I think it makes sense from a football perspective. Like that, I think you'd add in a vacuum, you'd add Kyle Van Noy if you can. You could use some depth at linebacker. He can still play, like you said. I don't know if he's the same guy that he was when he was New England, and I don't know if he made any All-Pro teams, but he was definitely a Pro Bowler. He was the best linebacker on a bunch of Super Bowl, maybe 1 or 2 Super Bowl teams. It's hard to keep track of all those championships the Patriots win. But you just wonder about the price. So I think he was making like $2.2 million in LA. That seems like a reasonable number. You maybe sign him for a little less just because of his age.
Yes.
But from a football perspective, yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense, and I think you definitely explore it at the very least.
Yeah, I agree. Just so you know here, because, you know, lots of Super Bowls. I get it. Nobody likes the Patriots. He is a 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Patriots, and he did make their all 2010s team, but he's actually never even made a Pro Bowl.
Really?
He's never even been on a Pro Bowl roster. Yeah.
That's wild. He was definitely good enough, I feel like. I feel like if you can walk and chew gum at the same time, you can make a Pro Bowl.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, yeah, Tyler Huntley was a quarterback in the Pro Bowl last year. We talked about whether it was him or 7 touchdown, 9 interception Kenny Pickett. So, yeah, it was, you know, sometimes it gets rough pickings down there. But, I look at Kyle Van Noy, I agree with you. I think in a football vacuum, this is a guy that comes in here. You know, he's got the ability to play outside linebacker. He could play off-ball linebacker if you need him to as well. But at the same time, like if I'm Kyle Van Noy, I'm not really interested in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I don't look at this as a place that I could thrive at 32 years old. Like he's not looking to sit on the bench. You know, you're playing football because you want to play football and you could still contribute to a football team. If you're the 4th outside linebacker in Pittsburgh, you're playing like literally 0 snaps on defense during a game. If you're the 3rd or the 4th off-ball linebacker or inside linebacker in Pittsburgh, you're playing 5 snaps a game if you're lucky. Yeah. You know, like that's just it's not a place for him. And now if Nick Herbig decides that he's only an off-ball linebacker and the Steelers realize quick that this guy can't do it, then you go out and get Kyle Van Noy. But until then, you're looking at this and going, Mark Robinson is who they want to be the 3rd inside linebacker. And even if Mark Robinson doesn't work out, they're going to give him the first opportunity. And then Nick Herbig is who they want to be the next outside linebacker behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. So he's not going to get an opportunity there. I think he's got less of an opportunity at outside than he does on the inside. I just think for him, it doesn't make as much sense as it does for the Steelers, but I think that's how it's going to be for everybody. Like Jadeveon Clowney was rumored to come to Pittsburgh and be an option for them after the NFL draft. Again, like, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to come here and play nothing? Like, as crazy as it sounds that 2 weeks ago we were talking about, oh, this is the biggest need and it's still a hole that they have. You know, Quincy Roche, if he could do anything at all, is not a bad 4th option for the Steelers. If somebody goes down, that drastically changes, but you can't approach the season saying, oh, well, when TJ gets hurt, when Alex Highsmith misses these games, you have to approach it saying, okay, well, if everybody's healthy, we have a pretty good lineup. You know, right. If we add another one, it's better, definitely, but I don't know if it's the best option.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about this not being the place Van Noy might want to go to. But yeah, I want to. You said they want Mark Robinson to be that 3rd inside linebacker. You really think they're that high on him? Because I don't know. I don't feel like he showed that much last year to like give you confidence that he can do that.
I don't think he showed enough. Like in my opinion, I think he's still a very big developmental piece. But yeah, from what I've heard, the Steelers, like, they want him to be the next guy that they could, like, they want him to develop into what a Landon Roberts is supposed to be this season so that he could be that moving forward. And I think, like, you know, do I think Mark Robinson could do everything as an inside linebacker? Definitely not. But do I think he could be Robert Spillane, you know, without the ability to cover and pass? Yes. You know, I think he's a guy that if you're like, Go in there on 3rd and 1, run straight in the middle and hit somebody as hard as you can. He's going to do it, like, and I do think that from, just from everything I know and have heard this offseason, he's the guy that they just hope, they're going to give him an opportunity. I don't think it means anything. I don't look at it and say this is a guarantee. They're just going to throw everything away because they want to give Mark Robinson an opportunity. But I do look at him as like a reason that they wouldn't sign somebody.
That's interesting because I again, like in a football sense, like, yeah, you're taking Kyle Van Noy over Mark Robinson all day.
All day.
But if you have an eye towards the future, and yeah, you're like their linebacker spots are pretty much set with Holcomb, Roberts, and then Highsmith and Watt on the outside. Like your top line's good enough that you can get away with Mark Robinson as your third guy and not because. Well, but like Kyle Van Noy wouldn't be that expensive of a.
No,
I don't know.
Super cheap. But I think that's the same thing as like people who want Miles Jack back. Like they're just like, well, he'd be a great 4th option. It's like, no, he would be. He would be a phenomenal 4th option, like as good as it gets. But if you call Miles Jack and you're like, hey, dude, you want to sit 4th on the depth chart, or you call Kyle Van Noy and you're like, hey, man, you want to come in here and compete for a 3rd edge rusher spot? He's like, no, I want to be the I want to be the 3rd edge rusher. I want to be the backup inside linebacker. Like I want to have an opportunity. And these guys will have those opportunities. People are going to get hurt in training camp. People are going to get hurt in the preseason. They don't need training camp. Like these guys they could come in here week 1 and contribute to a football team at this point in their career. And I think that they'll rather wait. Now, if somebody goes down and the Steelers suffer an injury, all of these guys are on the table. You know what I mean? Yeah. Miles Jack, Leonard Floyd, who's still out there. Quan Alexander still out there. Kyle Van Noy, as we said. AJ Klein, Anthony Barr. Like there are huge names out there that you could wait on.
Why does no one want linebackers? Like,
I think they do. I just think that they, you look at it. For one, I think that the linebacker position's value has decreased significantly in the last couple of years, just because, you're asked to do so many things, but at the same time, teams don't run base packages that much. They run a lot of everything else, and you take linebackers off the field a lot of the time. And I also think that the inside linebacker, like core that, like you got to think like the guys that signed this free agency, Levante David, David Long, Tremaine Edmonds, Aziz Al-Shir, Jermaine Pratt, Bobby Wagner, Eric Kendricks, Leighton Landerish, TJ Edwards, Devin Bush was on there, Denzel Perryman. Like there were big names that went. And these are just kind of like the aftermarket guys that are still out there. Some of them shock me, but I just think that teams are like, they're just looking at it like, well, if we can't develop it, if we can't develop this guy, we'll sign this guy, but we're going to give this guy an opportunity first.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's true. Like, so the longer these names stick around, like their price isn't going to go up.
Their price does not change whatsoever. It's the sign in Melvin Ingram at the end of the summer, sign in Trey Turner at the end of the summer, like these veterans that just could come in here and start. And, as long as you don't ask them to do too much, they should be fine.
Right.
And I think that's what, they're going to wait. They're going to wait and see. But I don't think that either one of those names, and by the other one, Miles Jack, makes any sense for this. It makes perfect sense for the Steelers. Doesn't make any sense for them. Like they're not sitting around going, if they don't get a job by the start of the season, yes. Right now, with a whole summer left, not a chance. You're going to make that signing early, and then somebody's going to go down somewhere, and you're going to be the Mason Rudolph of outside linebackers chilling.